Hey friends, this is Dolynny TV. Glad to have you aboard here this afternoon, or maybe if you're tuning in the morning time, glad to have you alongside for what is going to be an interesting kind of development Monday edition of the channel, as we have quite a bit of Oilers news today as well. But there's a major development in the 2026 NHL entry draft scene that is going to kind of change the complexion, I think, personally. We'll go on a rant about it here at the end of the video. Basically, for the entire landscape of junior hockey, we already know that's happened with the NCAA, CHL rule changes, but stay tuned. It's going to get even more complicated than that if I can figure this out correctly. So if you are new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Would love to have you along as a regular viewer on the channel. I know one of my good buddies from work there, he just decided to hit that subscribe button this morning after stumbling upon that behemoth of a video, you could say, that was the Darnell Nurse news yesterday. So to those of you that joined up yesterday for tuning into that video, appreciate you being aboard and welcome back as we get into the hot news of the day, that being officially official and confirmed by multiple sources across Oilers media today. Dustin Schwartz is done with the Edmonton Oilers, the long-term goalie coach. I mean, he became the goalie coach when I was still going to Nate. That's that's how long ago that was. For those of you that know anything about my broadcasting journey, that is over a decade ago at this point, and that was at a point in which the Oilers were struggling with goaltending as well. So keep that in mind. A 10-year plus vet here is up and done with the Oilers. Dustin Schwartz, results to speak of, not many. I think maybe Stuart Skinner's first full year is about as positive as it could have got under Mr. Dustin Schwartz in terms of developing a homegrown goalie and having him have success. And that would still say a lot of you still want Skinner out, despite what happened maybe in year one full-time after Jack Campbell kind of, not so good for him. So the Oilers, Jason Gregor goes on to explore, and this is kind of all from the Oilers Nation threads on all this, I should mention. The Oilers should do more than just hire a goalie coach. They need to build a goalie department like other NHL franchises. Now, to sum that up, again, a lot of NHL franchises, I think, we've heard the term from the Oilers, there's no salary cap on R&D. And that, I think, is a famous line from a few years back from one Bob Stauffer, who kept repeating that out there. I remember, at least that's how memory serves. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that is kind of the Oilers' motto once Jeff Jackson was hired. There is no salary cap, no limit to what you can spend on research and development. And that is kind of what Jason Gregor's hinting at there for the Oilers, is get a little bit creative, spend a few dollars. Again, we know how much money the Oilers have made in the past 2 years. It's about time to reinvest it in the business here and get it going again. I don't think we'd feel so bad about paying $18, $19 a beer at Rogers Place if all of a sudden your goalies are top 3 in the NHL. So let's just say that out loud, right? I think with every cost, there should be a reward. And if it comes at good goaltending, well then, hey, let's giddy up. That's going to be a good time for Oilers fans if we can spend some money. Again, that's not saying they will. That's saying that they should. So keep that just tucked away up here, upstairs for a little bit, because to see what the Oilers do this week in replacing several coaches. I think I haven't seen any official confirmation today in anything I read on Mark Stewart, but we know Glenn Gullitson's gone, and we know now Dustin Schwartz is gone. So there's some guys to replace on that bench and in the Oilers brass. So keep that in mind and see where that goes, as the Oilers did also promise us this week may be a major week for goaltending updates. So what else we have is a major update today on Mr. Zach Hyman at his Celebrity Golf Classic. I wasn't kidding you when I told the Oilers Nation was a big part of today's video. Basically, they just kind of aggregated everything perfectly together to get this video up and on with my evening. So basically the summary today is that Zach Hyman hopes to play in game 1 of the regular season. Again, that's another guy that's going to miss a lot of time in the preseason, if not all of it. And what I want to say there before we get into kind of the wrist and getting out of the brace is there's some feeling out there, and we'll get to that later in this video as well, that Sam O'Reilly might factor into the Oilers' plans a lot more than maybe we might have thought earlier in the season. One would say that the NCAA rules might change something with junior eligibility for the AHL, but one also might say that the Zach Hyman injury could very well change things for Sam O'Reilly. Again, Matt Savoy's got a full-time spot almost guaranteed to him. Noah Phil battling in there. Tomaszek. Szymanski would be another guy that might get a chance should you not see Sam O'Reilly repeat his incredible preseason from last year. But again, I think based on expectation, based on pedigree throughout the season and the development curve, Sam O'Reilly, if Zach Hyman is not ready to go, will, because of the flexibility in the bottom six with positioning, likely get a chance to play, 9-10 minutes, whether it be for one game or two games at the NHL level to open the season. And specifically, if Sam O'Reilly is available because of changing eligibility at the AHL level. Again, this has been rumored by Jason Gregor this year, kind of reinforced on Bob Stauffer's show that day. I don't know if that's going to come to pass this year. I know it's something they're looking into in the new CBA, but again, something that could change this year based on the situation with the CHL and NCAA. You look at it from a front where, hey, you know what? If Sam O'Reilly suddenly is, as a 19-year-old, allowed to play some games or several games at the AHL level, the Oilers would love to have him be available to him at his base salary. Again, the sub-performance bonuses and stuff are kind of a hoopy thing that I don't want to get too far into. I might be completely wrong on it because he's a 32nd overall draft pick and not a top 10. But most years when the Oilers have to fit in a top-heavy pick in the first round of the NHL draft, you put him on the roster day one like we did with Matt Savoy, so as his cap hit stays consistent with what it is regularly instead of being inflated to include the bonuses later on. So that's kind of the Coles notes on that, the brief breakdown. So again, Sam O'Reilly, if he has some of that salary cap implications as well, Zack Heyman remains injured to start the season, and Sam O'Reilly has a good preseason. I would not be surprised, whether the junior rules matter or not, I would not be surprised to see Sam O'Reilly get a game or two, but also pure fact, if he is going to play in the AHL and you want to call him up, say in mid-November before you send him back down to junior, you would as well want him to be in at his cap hit on day one as opposed to that day in November. So, sorry, that took a lot more to explain than I thought. Gavin McKenna, this is a big one here. Lots of rumors here, I'd say over the past 3 weeks as we kind of wrapped up the NHL playoffs. And now all of a sudden you got through the draft, you got through free agency's big first week. And now Jeff Merrick, pretty much everybody out there reporting that it looks like Gavin McKenna is headed to Penn State. Now, why is this important? Why are we talking about this here on Dolynny TV? Again, that's the expected 2026 first overall draft pick heading to the NCAA from the Medicine Hat Tigers. Simply what this is meant to do in today's video is chew up a little bit of time on exactly what we were talking about with Sam O'Reilly. Again, this is a situation where the Oilers are kind of drafting some depth guys that might be, more mature by age 19, but in a different serving role than, a skilled guy would be for having at the, OHL, WHL, or QMJHL level. Again, guys that are 19, if they are allowed eligibility due to this situation, which again, this is a major chip to fall in this situation between the NCAA and the CHL. What'll happen here is, whether it happens this year or not, like I'm saying, the eligibility for younger players to play in this AHL is likely to change, at least longer term. It's a very possible outcome. And what that's going to impact for the Oilers is the roster building at the AHL level. The ability to, if you have a guy that is no longer challenged after his draft plus 1 year, you can get him up to the AHL level. And this is where, again, chips like Gavin McKenna kind of making that move to the NCAA, and guys testing it out, whether it sticks long term or not, just really moving things around in the NHL and junior landscape is going to benefit the Oilers because of kind of where they're drafting at right now. Obviously not top tier, so you're likely sending that player back to junior year one, right? We're not drafting that top 10 draft pick that slots into your lineup immediately. That's just not happening, and the Oilers obviously aren't getting the top end overseas talent either in the top 15, so you're not gathering guys into the AHL level at 18 years old, but what you are doing is getting guys, that possibly have that big upswing after their draft year, and then it's like, whew, man, that could fill a spot at the AHL level, and you start avoiding the vet problem that the Bakersfield Condors have had substantially over the past 2 seasons. You don't have to trade guys away just to fit and stuff like we did with Ben Gleason and Noel Hoffenmeyer. So for the Oilers, what I'm saying here is this Gavin McKenna move, long-term, long picture, is going to change the landscape of how they're able to develop their prospects, when they're able to develop them at certain levels. And obviously, as well, it's going to kind of change the dynamic, especially this year, now that you're going to have some 2026 draft eligible talent at the NCAA level. It's going to change the landscape of who possibly the Oilers are looking to draft next year, right? Whether, we get a first round pick or not, that doesn't matter. It's just kind of when you start getting into the meatier rounds and, some of the under the radar guys have gone over to the NCAA, or some of the under radar guys are allowed bigger roles at the CHL level because of the transition of the top dogs to the NCAA. It is going to massively change scouting. It's massively going to change resources spent where by NHL teams on scouting. And this is really where it's going to be nonstop chaos, just trying to understand kind of what is going to go on for the Edmonton Oilers. Not only, now we've got assistant coaches and, goalie coaches and a goalie department and all this possible happening here. The scouting department, when it comes to the research and development, the Oilers are going to have so much more going on, I believe, just based on kind of the changing landscape at the junior level or the college level, and it is going to be absolutely fantastic, because what you're also going to have happen is some guys that might be a little bit more seasoned or a little bit more kind of played out at the different levels that are available to them. The universities in Canada, which the Oilers currently have 2 guys in Connor Unger and of course Noah Philp, coming in later after university careers at the Canadian level, there's going to be some of that played into this as well. So there's going to be a lot of dynamics changing here behind the scenes, and I'm really excited for it, because obviously just what's happening at the NCAA level if you're a fan of any sports video games, and just all that's going to be changing as well over the next several years. I think the baseball video game for NCAA might be starting back up. I heard rumors today. NCAA basketball video game possibly coming back. College football 26. I'd be amiss if I didn't mention that release today. So there's a whole bunch of situations that this NCAA kind of lawsuit or whatever happened a few years back has changed, and now hockey is breathing its life into it, and it's going to be an absolute chaotic show from here on out, especially tomorrow if indeed and when Mr. Gavin McKenna announces he's going to Penn State. So we'll stay tuned to see what happens here, friends, but thanks for being aboard. I'm up on out of here. Have yourself a great night. We'll talk tomorrow. Zach Hyman, maybe I should make mention of that before we head out. He is getting his cast removed in 2 weeks. I don't know if I mentioned this. Totally spun out onto the NCAA stuff. But for Zach Hyman, again, the road to recovery starts in 2 weeks, really. But again, whether he's open or ready to go for the start of the season is a question mark that maybe Sam O'Reilly possibly could fill for the Edmonton Oilers. For right now, friends, thanks for being aboard. As always, like I said, if you're new to the channel, maybe I should flash that again. Consider hitting that subscribe button, but I'll catch you tomorrow, as I said, and I'm not going to waste any more of your time on a beautiful Stampede Monday here down in southern Alberta. Have a great night.